I am with Noah David from Kenya, and he's going to tell us all about his wonderful work.
My name is Noah David. I'm founder of Farm Rock and Water Initiative, which is situated in Kitui County in Kenya. Anger and drought has been our daily struggle, and that's what we have been fighting for decades. We depend on farming, and it hasn't been doing well. We also have been supporting vulnerable children and empowering community in large. What inspired me back then in 2017 when we registered Farm Rock as community-based organization was a series of events or things I've ever witnessed in my life. Some of my classmates could just eat food because they would just sleep without meals. And in the morning, when they come to school, they would have no another means apart. What they could just think is how to get a meal at least to fill their stomach. And these have been the struggle, especially when rain does not produce enough crops. There would be very, very harsh conditions, and that has been our struggle. So since then, I started to think of how can we solve this problem, and that's how we started the Farm Rock with few members. By then, we had at least 15 members, and they believed in what we started. That's how we started focusing on water, because drought comes. The water is the biggest challenge, and also the food. So Farm Rock today focuses mainly on the water and food, and it's also exploring how to reduce firewood and for cooking, and we're exploring way of renewable energy for cooking and heating.
So it really sounds like you have taken on an important project, because when you cut down firewood, for example, that you just brought up, that hurts the whole environment. We need trees, or we have erosion, and many other problems.
That has been also a very technical issue to address, because the same community is also doing charcoal burning to support themselves, and it is also affecting the climate change and also the soil.
Fantastic. So I wondered if you could tell us specifically what the Farm Rock initiative is and why is it important for your community?
Farm Rock initiative is a community project in Kitui focused on sustainable farming and water solution in semi-arid areas. It is important because it helps a farmer to grow drought-resistant crops like cassava, sweet potato, that is reducing hunger and poverty. We are also working on how we shall be processing either flour from the cassava and sweet potato and their byproducts to be utilized as animal feeds. At least by training these members on way of water conservation methods, and also to improve food security, will make it a big impact.
So food security is a problem, around the world now because of trade things and others. But can you talk about food security from your point of view?
Food security, in my view, is if a kid does not have a meal, will he be able to go to school and be able to learn? So this will affect the entire education system, uh, and also it will also economically drain the community, because we shall always be fighting or looking for food, nothing else.
So when you have the sweet potatoes and the cassavas, you're able to store them for longer periods of time, and the farmers are going to get more income, right?
Sure.
Okay.
To increase the cassava lifespan and also sweet potato, we are aiming to add value. At least the flour can take long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We can also either sell it, we sell the surplus, and we can supply to a large area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know you care a lot about regenerative agriculture,
Yes, sure.
and and you're helping all these other farmers learn the profitability of that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Uh, yeah. Uh, Although I've been practicing, or we have been practicing sustainable farming, I'm
Mm-hmm.
also into regenerative, and we are minimizing by regenerative. We are minimizing the fertilizer, the use of fertilizers. So we are utilizing things like natural soil improvement methods, that is
Mm-hmm.
mulching, and keeping soil moisture and prevent erosion. We also looking on compost and manure, and also mulching using grass and leaves to improve soil fertility. Yes.
So, with your mulching, what kind of materials do you use in order to mulch, and why do you use those materials?
The available materials are grass and leaves. As in I've told you, since we are in a dry area, a lot of leaves fall, leaving the
Mm-hmm.
trees out leaves, and so the available materials is just the leaves and now some grass, if it's not burnt. Yeah.
So, and you also mentioned compost. So, how does that change the soil texture, or how do you use the compost?
The compost, we don't have any skills for compost, but we are adding every kind of manure, animal manure, the leaves, these grass, to get this mulching. No, not the mulching, but the compost. So
Okay.
later we can put on our land.
Okay. So what you're using to apply the manure, that's increasing the fertilizer, right, in the actual soil, right? It's changing
Do,
its nutrition, correct?
yes. Do you mean the type of the tool, or
Well, I'm just saying that you're using compostable manures
yes?
to increase instead of using commercial fertilizers.
Yes, sure.
Now, I also are you doing crop rotation to make sure
Yeah.
that that helps?
Yes.
And are there any other ways that you're increasing the soil fertility?
Yeah, by doing that, different crops have a different either nitrogen fixers and all that. So by changing or rotating, we are giving a new plant a new area to grow, and
Okay.
that's we can see the improvement of the soil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know that some of the land that you're growing on is basically on a ridge, so
Yes.
that there could be a problem with erosion. How are you dealing with that?
On that, we are doing terraces. Here
Mhm.
we call them fanya juu terraces. You cut the soil and draw on the other side, and then we also have some cutoffs. Cutoffs you cut on the, like, where my farm is now. The farm that belongs to my family is a slope area, so we have some terraces, and we have already done some fanya juu and the cutoffs, so that we normally reduce the soil erosion. We also do some ranges using the available material, maybe some uh, the compost. Okay, I don't know whether I'm calling it correctly, but we have compost. It's a it usually have tall branches. So when we cut them, we keep them as ranges. That is.
Okay, so you are making different types of barriers to keep
Yeah,
the soil from eroding. And are
yeah,
you also
we are slowing the water from running.
okay.
Once we, yeah,
So that's a form of water conservation.
sure, sure, 100%.
And you're planting in ridges and mounds, right? To increase the root development.
Sure, 100%. Because when they rot or they decompose, it also turns out to be
Okay.
a very, yes.
So how do you actually, because, you say you're in a very drought-stricken area, but when you get water, I know that's been a problem in Southern California. When we get water, we get a lot of it, all at once. And how do you basically harvest the rainwater?
To be sincere, that has been our biggest challenge,
Hmm.
and especially on resources to either buy tanks and or uh, um, have small dams. But what we are planning to do is we are planning to have some storage tanks, and also if we can have some resources to have small dams. If we can have these two, we can now improvise the drip irrigation to effectively reduce the wastage, and also by irrigating where you have put some mulching, it will prevent the water from evaporating.
Evaporating. Hmm.
Yeah, sure. And that's the water issue has been the total challenge, because during the dry season, even women usually walk long distances to look for water,
Hmm.
maybe 2 4 hours before they can come out. So,
So you don't
by
have like a hose system or anything like that. People actually go and carry water.
pardon, please.
I said people are carrying water to take care of the crops.
Yeah, sure. When
So
it's necessary, but so far
mhm.
we are trying crops that does not need a lot of water and drought resistance.
So, and you're also setting up a drip irrigation system, which drips on each plant, correct? So
Yes.
that people don't need to carry around water.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make that real clear because some people get confused.
Sure.
So, um, what other conservation are you doing? What other ways are you conserving water?
Conservation. We are also working on areas of creating sandy dams, And
Could you talk
also,
about that a little bit more? Define that?
yeah, sometimes are very expensive, but we did at least one for the community. We had a valley, and that's how we came up. We should put some barriers there to slow water and catch the sand, and below the sand now we can have at the well. That's one of the water conservation we have tried, and it's working. But there's also by planting trees, which are making the rivers or the streams or the valleys not to dry up earlier or early
Mm-hmm.
once. Yes, by catching this soil, also by using those barriers, I might I'll share with you one of the one I've put just next to my homestead. It's a very huge uh, rocks barrier were used as it was filled after 3 4 rains, and
Mm-hmm.
currently I use as a road.
Okay.
So below that barrier, we have a I would call it a seasonal as a ball or well. It's a 30 feet well. It's not a ball.
Okay. So it's more like a above ground cistern.
Yes, yes, yes. Which keeps water for some months
Mm-hmm.
for 5 months.
And do you use the rainwater for, cooking and cleaning and all that sort of thing? And how do you make sure it's pure when you're using it for your own personal use, or do you use something else?
It's still a challenge, like I've told you before. Some families to use the rust roof, which it's tricky for them to harvest water. Very lucky they have tanks. We were also planning to have a, a way that is we can support each member with half cost of the tank. For example, if the tank is costing $200, the member to produce at least half of the tank, so the organization which is farm to support that individual with half of it. The requirements will be at least remember to have a iron sheet, that is to have a home or house that is having iron sheet, then have a gutters and set up where the tank will be placed, and we support him or her with at least half of the cost. The other cost he may pay or she may pay it gradually, slowly by slowly until he owns the tank. That was one of the plans, but we haven't yet concluded because we don't have the resources. But water, we still catch it using uh, container, jerrycans. Yeah.
So when you're working in the community, does your whole family work? Do the grandparents work? I mean, how does that manifest itself?
Pardon, please.
I'm wondering in your initiative. I know they're going to be working with farmers, but are you going to be also working with their families?
Yeah, sure. Farmwork is made up of at least 80% women, because when we started it, uh, a lot of men working, and they couldn't create time for this initiative. So
Mhm.
at least 80% are women, and they work together with their families, because there's no way a woman in uh, Africa will own a land or will run the family. So at least the wife is our member and the family is also involved. If we support them, we support the entire family, not the woman. Or yes. So that's how we work with the women and the family.
That's wonderful that everyone is becoming involved with these initiatives. So obviously, the children are going to learn at the same time.
Um, yeah, 100%. Because if we train the family, if we train the mother or the women, we are
Mhm.
training the entire family. The
That's wonderful.
mother, the woman will also train their children, and that's how we make sure, or we get inspired that our training will go deeper, not just to the one member.
So, is there any other kinds of techniques that you want to put in place that you envision, say, 2, 3 years from now?
Yeah, we have several plans or uh, ideas or goals we are aiming to have. We are on the initial stages for the cassava and sweet potato, since we have been doing different crops for a while, and we noticed we are not, or we had not plant the correctly, or we had no a goal that is aiming to combat the anger. So that's how we came up with the idea of the sweet potato and cassava. We're also introducing millet because those are resistance crops and many more.
So,
So
you're really looking for particular crops that are very drought resistant.
yes, for now, because we won't want to involve in many that needs water and we don't have the resources for the water.
Mhm.
For example, if we aim for vegetables, uh, we may lose some while we are trying to irrigate others. Yeah, so we have to start somewhere as we go up. If we
Okay.
get a ball, well, we can do many crops at once. But for the initial stages, we are planning to do the cassava and the sweet potato. And our plan is very simple. We will
Yeah.
train members at least 50 and above on how to plant cassava and on how to plant sweet potatoes. From there, from the 6 acre training center, which will be utilized or used as a center of the resources, then each member can now plant or replicate these farming skills on at least half of an acre.
Mm.
When we harvest, now each member now can harvest, bring to the center, because it's where we shall be having the processing machine, the crushing, the cleaning. Now each member can now bring to the center. We process it, we either sell it or we give back to the to the that member. Choices, we shall have many choices from their byproducts. We shall also have animal feeds. Actually, we are not aiming to sell these animal feeds. We are planning to have poultry poultry
Poultry?
farming.
Yeah.
At least if you can give each member at least 2 chickens at the end of the year, I know she'll have at least 20, 30 chickens.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So that's how we are planning to have this initiative and make it is sustainable and run smoothly.
Hmm. And
Yes,
the chickens give manure, which is really very helpful too.
absolutely. Because we shall also improve our land by using
Hmm.
that manure. Yeah. So
So
nothing goes to waste from the the pelts, the palm, or either for the kettles or chickens or sheep.
Yeah. So nature is incredibly abundant.
Sure,
And you're really saying we're building the soil, correct?
sure,
So
yeah,
that we can even have more abundance.
sure.
So, and do you save the seeds, or how do you actually get get a hold of growing the actual plants?
Pardon, please.
You're going to be using cassava, which last well, they store well, and sweet potatoes, which also store well. But how are you going to get next year's crop? Are you going to be using any of those to use as seed products?
Yeah, yeah, we shall be using cassava and sweet potato.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to every year save a percentage so that you can grow them next year.
It is marketable for one because even urban areas people consume sweet potatoes for
Mm-hmm.
breakfast, and they are either roasted or boiled or smashed for kids, and it's very marketable. Uh, with the increase of some diseases, especially diabetes and all that stuff, people are abandoning processed foods, especially uh, which seems to contain chemicals. So
Okay.
people are going to have sweet potatoes as an organic, direct uh, a product from farm.
So the same thing is happening in America. People know they're addicted to, potato chips or Doritos or whatever, cereals. And they say, no, if I eat a whole food, if I eat a
Yeah,
carrot, if I eat some celery, if I eat a sweet potato, it's much healthier. So that makes me happy that it's going around the world, you
sure,
know, because we all need to be nourished. So,
sure.
are there any final thoughts that you want to, impart to us?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. Um, Maybe I don't know how to share it, but I'll put it on my one way. Um, I know a lot of people don't trust small community organization, especially from Africa. Uh, but I can assure you, these are the community-based on organization that are making changes for families and communities. Sometimes we focus on a very large organizations, but we somehow forget that the grassroots depend on this community organization. Though what we can ask, or I may ask for my community's resources to implement some of ideas we have from the sweet potato farming, uh, flour production, animal feed, which we shall utilize for our animals and chickens. And by all that, we shall be sustainable, combat hunger, have water for our community, and the rest will be okay.
So, in short, you think that coming together and collaborating, right, helping each other in a local area,
Yeah, sure,
really solves a lot of problems.
sure,
Yeah. So the Natural Health Collaborative believes exactly the same thing. We might be worldwide, but we are each in our communities, and we're trying to come up with what's going to work in this local area. And obviously, drought resistant crops, growing soil, and finding ways to harvest water and protect the foods that you grow is incredibly important.
Very important, indeed.
So I want to thank you so much for your time and energy.
Thank you too for hosting me. I'm very happy to share with you.